Hey, pirate readers! We're back for another chapter in our Dolphins at Daybreak adventures with Jack and Annie. So, last chapter, we read about Jack and Annie taking that mini sub and diving down deep into the sea to search for something. Now, we're going to read about this next chapter, and there's going to be a lot of different things that are introduced. A lot of sea creatures, a lot of details. I want you guys to think about two different sea creatures or two different animals that we find in this chapter. And I want you to compare them. Tell us what's the same about these animals. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's a size or a shape or what they look like. So I want you to see if you can pull out your journal page and draw and illustrate and then maybe label those two creatures that you compare. And if you can even write a sentence or two using some of those details, awesome job. So here we go. Chapter 4, Fish City. There were fish everywhere, floating over the swaying seagrass, eating on the white sandy bottom, peeping out of coral caves. Some kinds of coral looked like blue fingers or lacy fans. Others looked like deer antlers or lettuce leaves or mushrooms or trees. Jack read in his book, coral reefs are only found in warm water and tropical waters. Nearly 5,000 different species of fish live around coral reefs in the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Jack pulled out his pencil and his notebook. He started to write a list. The title, Coral Reef Research. Warm water, over 5,000 kinds of fish. Look, said Annie. The sub floated past a huge starfish, then a pink jellyfish, and a blue seahorse. Jack added to his list. Starfish, jellyfish, seahorse. What is that? Said Annie. Jack saw a creature that looked like a giant pancake with a long tail. A stingray, said Jack. He put that on his list as well. Black stingray with long tail. And that, said Annie. She pointed to the biggest shell Jack had ever seen. It was as big as a stool or a chair. I'll have to check on that one, said Jack. He turned to the pages of the ocean book. When he got to the pages about clams, he read aloud. The giant clam of the coral reef is 3 feet wide and weighs 200 pounds. Wow, said Annie. No kidding, said Jack. He added giant clams to his list. Dolphins, cried Annie. Jack looked up. The dolphins were peering in the window. They tapped their noses against the glass. Their eyes were bright. They seemed to be smiling. Jack laughed. It's like we're a fish in a tank, and they're looking at us, he said. Their names are Suki and Sam, said Annie. Sister and brother. You're crazy, said Jack. Here's a kiss for you, Suki, said Annie. And she pressed her lips against the glass. And a kiss for you, Sam. Oh, brother, said Jack. But the dolphins opened their mouths and tossed her head. She seemed to be laughing at Annie. Hey, I know the answer to the riddle. Dolphins, said Annie. They're gray and plain, but they have great beauty inside. You forgot the rough as a rock part, said Jack. Dolphin's skin looks pretty smooth and slippery. Oh, right, said Annie. The dolphins flipped their tails. They swam off into the light blue water. Wait, don't go, called Annie. Suki! But the dolphins were gone. It's time for us to go too, said Jack. He was afraid someone might be looking for their mini sub now. But we haven't solved the riddle, said Annie. Jack studied the bright underwater world. I don't see the answer, he said. There's nothing plain at all out there. Then maybe the answer's in the mini sub, said Annie. They looked around the tiny spaces. I'll check the computer, said Jack. He studied the row of pictures at the top of the screen. He pressed the book picture. The words ship log flashed onto the screen. And that's the end of the chapter. Wow, so boys and girls, there were a lot of different creatures and different sea animals that we talked about in that story, okay? So that chapter, I want you guys to pull out your journals now and write about 2 different animals or creatures that we talked about, and I want you to draw pictures of them. But I also want you to think about how they are the same. All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the read, and we will see you guys tomorrow for our next chapter. Adios.